All right, bro. So we're gonna jump straight into it. This morning I had woke up at 7:30. Had to be at a run club at 8. I didn't feel like getting up. I didn't feel like getting out the bed. I could have rationalized and told myself, hey, I'll just go Monday, because I am going Monday. It's currently Saturday, about 12 p.m. and I have to go to work at 2. Actually, I'll take that back. It's 1 p.m. and I have to be at work in less than an hour. And I could have easily skipped going to the run club today. But after fighting with my internal thoughts for about 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes, because I kind of lost track of time because I was in and out my sleep, but I knew I had to get up. I just finally got up and made the decision to go to the run club, and that was actually the best decision I made all day. Back to the scripture I was talking about the other day, which was Matthew chapter 6, verse 34, I believe, basically talking about don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow has enough problems of its own. And I was thinking about, tomorrow, how I got to go to work tomorrow, and then how Monday's run is going to be. But I was too focused on the future that I was going to end up missing out on what God had planned for me in the present, what He had for me today. Even shooting this video, I didn't even feel like making this video, but I say all of that to say that you can't rely on feelings, you can't rely on motivation, you can't rely on inspiration to get started, or even the passion to keep you going forward, because there's going to be a lot of days you don't feel like it. There's going to be a lot of days where you feel sad or you angry, or life is just lifing, to say the least. But that is essentially what separates the good from the great, the professionals from the amateurs. And once you realize, like, being bored during the process is probably the most crucial part of the process, because like I said this morning, I could have rationalized not going to run. Maybe the day before I had worked out, I needed to recover, like I said, rational lies. They're rational lies. Like, I didn't have to stay inside and recover. It would have been nice, but that would have just been an excuse disguised as a reason to stay home. But I got a lot of meaningful experience today while I was trying to find parking for the run club. I ran into a beautiful young lady, you know what I'm saying? She was driving her Porsche. I rolled her window down, I rolled my window down. She was basically asking me, like, where should she go? And, that was my opportunity to, leave, show her where to go, right? But that wouldn't have been available to me if I would have just stayed in bed and stayed at home, you know what I'm saying? And then I also met a real cool dude. He's not even from here. He just moved to Dallas like 2 or 3 weeks ago for work. I asked him what he did for work. We chopped it up. They had actually took some pictures, so I told bro, just send me the pictures to my number because I'm not on Instagram. Boom, I got his number just like that. So that could be a networking aspect depending on how you looking at it. But what else? When I was running, I realized that, just don't stop. That's all I kept telling myself, don't stop. There was only maybe 1 or 2 times that I stopped, and that was because we were running like in the city, so it was oncoming traffic. So of course you can't run out in the street or you're gonna get hit, right? But that was the only time I stopped. Like, even if I was gassed, even if I was tired, I decided that I was going to do a light jog, you know what I'm saying? Because I had to keep that momentum going, and then that's something that you can apply in life. Like, I had some people that started ahead of me that I passed up. I had some people that were behind me that passed me up. But like I said, it's not a competition between them. It's the dialogue in my mind that told me, okay, Cam, keep pushing. You almost to the end. Why would you stop? And you getting closer to the end. Why would you start walking when you get closer to the end. And I just kept reframing it back to life, back to life. Like, okay, if I'm having 50K months, like, why would I stop right there? Like, why not just keep going to 100K months? Even, you know what I'm saying, maybe $1 million days, you know, who knows what God has in store for me, but you'll never know if you just don't show up. You'll never know if you don't show up on the days where it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like something is happening, because that's when it's happening. I had talked about the gravitropic nature of a tree, how trees, they grow their roots before you see the trunk spring up. And I feel like that's the phase I'm in right now. You know, I'm not on Instagram. I'm not doing nothing flashy. I'm recording a car. I'm recording a video in my 2002 Honda Accord, right? But these things are becoming habits, and the best habits are built when you realize, like, the journey is the destination. It has to be on the spectrum between being enjoyable and having enough challenge. Because if it's not challenging enough, you're gonna stop. But if it's too difficult, if you find it too hard, then you're just gonna stop. So find that thin line. Like I said, if you can, create your own environment. Lean towards your strengths, lean towards your natural abilities, and just understand that it's going to be times where you want to give up. There's going to be times where you don't feel like doing that entire set at the gym. There's going to be times where you don't feel like reading, or you don't feel like studying, or you don't feel like making this call, or you don't feel like, you know, having this hard conversation. But literally, that's the difference between the people who are where they want to be and the people that could have been. And you don't want to be on that could have been aspect. You want to be on the person that's fulfilling your purpose, maximizing your potential. But it comes every day. Just don't break the streak. You know, while I was reading Atomic Habits, they were talking about not missing. It's a rule where you don't miss 2 days in a row. It's fine to miss one day, but don't miss 2 days in a row. You really don't want to miss one, but if you do, just get back right on track. Because, you know, the more expensive, it gets more expensive the longer you wait to get back on track, and the harder it becomes. So keep your momentum. You know what I'm saying? Even when you feel like there's no momentum, it's even gonna be days where it feels like a uphill climb. But I'm telling you, like, all of these aspects, the good days, the bad days, the days that are not as exciting, those days matter the most, because literally anybody can do it when they have the motivation, when they see the video, they got the music playing, life is going great. But it's only a small, select, chosen few that are going to continue when it gets boring. And on the outside looking in, you're probably wondering, like, damn, what do they have that I don't? Like, how does their mind operate? How does their body continue to go the length with the cards that they're dealt? Simply, bro, they made a decision to just keep going when the inspiration wasn't there. Because feelings, they're fleeting. They're fleeting. And also, something I picked up when I was reading, they said that failure doesn't, basically, a lot of people get bored rather than fail. And I think it goes back to my video I was talking about yesterday, switching business models between clothing brand, wanted to do Airbnb, wanted to do real estate investing, wanted to be a trader, wanted to do YouTube, but more so on the entertainment side. Like, it's a few different things that I wanted to do, but I didn't stick with them. I didn't stick with one enough to become dangerous, because I was looking for the next dopamine hit. I was looking for that novelty. I was looking for that feeling of newness, right? And that's what caused me to not reach my full potential, not because I failed, but because I chose to pivot before I could see the fruits of my labor, and that came from boredom, right? So the killer of success, or the make it or break it part from what makes good to great, what makes people, you know, just reach their maximum potential is the feeling of boredom. So you can use boredom to your advantage, right? You can use boredom to, you know, keep that streak alive. But once you get bored and you want to pivot and you want to switch, slow down and really understand what you're about to do, because if you make that switch too early, if you pivot too early, you could be, I wouldn't say digging your own grave, but you basically self-sabotaging the process and the progress that you've made. So don't move off emotion. If you got a plan, if you got a structured plan, bro, if you got a framework, work that framework, bro, because it's only a handful that's gonna keep pushing when things get boring. Because of course we can push through when we feel good, bro, but it is inevitable. It's going to happen. You're not going to feel like doing what you're supposed to do. I'm telling you, like, if you got a job, it's days that you don't feel like going to work, but you go anyway because you know it's gonna catch up to you. It may not be that day, it may not be 3 or 4 days from now, but you realize next week when that check comes and your check is shorter than what you expected, is shorter than what you like, you be like, damn, I can't miss another day. It's a lagging indicator. Everything is a lagging indicator, bro. So just remember that. So I invite you today, whatever you're working on, I don't care what it is, don't stop. You can slow down, you can walk. It's okay to rest, but don't stop. Your boy Cameron Mitchell is out.